Oh, Zach, this is a great house party you got right here.
Oh yeah, dude, I love being able to party down.
It's good. It's good. Did you just a query? I know that it's a party. And you got a
the
lot of
music
good
stopped.
party stuff here. Do you have any lollies? I'm in the mood for some lollies.
The lollies. No, I went to Woolies the other day, to get lollies, and all their aisles were cleared out. I don't know what was happening.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, look, Davo's got some. I'll go and...
Sweet.
Let's have a look around.
Thanks, Davo. What?
There's a snake lolly.
What?
There's snake lollies. I don't like snakes.
Oh, why did it have to be snakes?
Why did it have to be snakes? The snake
Why
lollies.
did it have to be snakes? This is where you were going with your stupid...
That was my intro.
Da 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 da. What a great intro.
Welcome
to Oldie but a Goodie.
It's a podcast where we're like, what came out in 1984? This week,
Your joke was snakes.
Indiana Jones came out in 1984, and we're talking about Temple of Doom. My name is Sandy Sandro, and I'm joined by Zachy Zach.
Zachy Zach. Not a fan of snakes.
Not a fan of snakes.
Why did it have to be snakes?
But maybe a fan of this movie?
Yeah, I'd say that. I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
I enjoy nearly all the movies of Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Aside from one of them.
Look, I even enjoyed Crystal Skull, but not as much as the rest of the franchise.
I haven't seen it in ages. Probably about 8 years? Yeah, wow.
I would have to go back and watch, all of them. Because you said you watched Raiders before this.
Yep.
So that's good that you have that sort of comparison, because I didn't. But I really want to go back and just watch all of them, including Crystal Skull. Let's get this out of the way. Crystal Skull, bad. Everyone knows. It's just bad. It's a bad one. It's not as good as the other ones.
No.
But it's still one of them. And I feel like I'd need to check it out to see if my... Because I can't remember. I knew watching it that I remember it being bad, but I can't remember how bad.
The problem with going back to it is the visuals are awful, because the green screen is absolute garbage. So
I mean, going back to this one, there was quite a bit of green screen
so much
effects, which was amazing.
Yeah,
I loved it.
This one definitely looks worse than Raiders, because they relied a lot more on special effects, which is a shame.
Yeah, the CGI.
Oh, well. There were no other options this week, so...
Yeah.
What is your first impressions of Temple of Doom, then?
All right, first impression... Wait, do you want me to go back to, 8-year-old Zach? Hey, it's me, it's 8-year-old Zach. My voice is really high because my balls haven't dropped.
Yep.
I thought the Temple of Doom was pretty creepy because it's got all the bugs. Me right now... God, those bugs were creepy. Good lord.
What did I used to think of this? It definitely was my least favorite of the trilogy, because I prefer the archaeological stuff with Indy rather than he's like an action hero stuff.
That's true. I like the cult though. That's one of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
Where they have the whole heart scene and all that, and it's like this sort of weird ancient magic stuff going on. I'm always a big fan of magic. This sort of evil magic going on, but also this life-giving magic.
Yep.
The mystical stones which provide ultra power. I like that part of this film. Like that whole plot line of this film I really like. But the characters.
The characters in this... Okay, so we'll get to it more later, but the reason why they went from Raiders, which is kind of like Indiana Jones... He starts off with a little gruff, but he gets nicer as it goes along. The reason why he's just a constant dick throughout this entire movie is because this is set before Raiders. So there's no character development for him at all.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. I mean, it's a prequel.
But also, he doesn't really need character development.
Nah, not at all.
Because he's just Indiana Jones. He's, a bit of a dick. But he's also, an action man that saves the day, whips a guy, hangs a dude with a ceiling fan. It's all in a day's work.
Here's a hot take, though. Indiana Jones, just the same character as Han Solo. They're the same. They're the same person.
Absolutely.
They're exactly the same person.
100%. I was going to say that as well. They are literally the same character.
Yep.
but that's fine. I'm okay. Except one's a smuggler
Yes.
and one's an archaeologist. That's the only difference.
One wears glasses and sometimes teaches.
One steals stuff, one smuggles stuff.
Yep.
They're both rogues with the thief archetype.
Yep.
Me going into D&D nerdism.
But yeah, it's been ages since I've seen this one. I always kind of ignore it and just watch the other two.
Absolutely. It really shows how it's aged.
Oh, yeah.
With some of the CGI. I think we can both agree that we enjoyed the CGI.
Oh, there's one moment that took me right out of it, and it was a very, dramatic...
Is it the waterfall?
No, it's when the guy, he falls off the ladder and he's just, bumping his head on the cliff face.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. That's a good... There's a lot of CGI in this film, and all of it sucks.
It's interesting how films with practical effects, like, say, Ghostbusters, which is coming up eventually this year, it's interesting how that ages well over CGI. It's almost like practical effects are better.
Ooh, that's a stance. I disagree and agree. I think practical effects hold up way better because they were really good at those at the time. And CGI only now has reached a stage where it's like, well, not only now, but, only in the last couple of years has it reached a stage where it, ages well. They've perfected it. It's an art form that they had to perfect, and just back then, it just wasn't perfected.
That's true. Although it's pretty great in Raiders, even though it's only really the ending, but that's spectacular.
Where they've splashed it in old movies, I think it's really good. Because they work on the small amounts that they have really hard to make it, pretty good.
Let's get into some details about the film. So it was released May 23rd, 1984, obviously. Directed by Steven Spielberg, legend of the game.
You know what? Steven Spielberg, he's alright. I think his film's pretty good.
He's got a couple good ones.
I'll die on that hill.
You'll die on the hill that Steven Spielberg's a good director?
No, a pretty good director.
Pretty good
I wouldn't
director.
say good.
Alright,
I'd say pretty good, though. I don't want to go too far,
This is 2 years after E.T., 1 year after the Twilight Zone movie that he did stuff for.
E.T.?
E.T.
What is that film? I've never heard of that one.
It's about this cat from space that has a finger that glows. Good film, I think. I used to love it. Haven't seen it in longer than the last time I saw Temple of Doom, so probably 10 years.
Well, there you go. No, it's a good film. I saw it, I think, a couple of years ago. It's great.
I need to get back to it. It's good stuff. Story by George Lucas, also legend of the game. This is 1 year after Return of the Jedi, which he famously had a lot of... he was pretty sick of making movies when he was making Return of the Jedi. He was also going through a pretty messy divorce. And there's a quote here where he says that he thinks that this film is quite dark because of where his head was at during that divorce.
Yeah, no, that is very interesting.
He made this a prequel because he didn't want to do Nazis again. So he was like, how about we just set it 1 year before Raiders?
Yeah, no, that's cool.
It's a good reason.
It makes sense, and also it's a cool to do a prequel as a sequel. I feel like that's good.
It's like a prequel as a sequel, except chronologically, it doesn't really matter. There's no real plot threads.
I'd like to see more early in Indiana Jones.
Young Indiana Jones. It's a TV show.
No, that's not what I said.
It's good. No, it's good.
Is it?
The first few episodes where he's a really young kid, pretty rough. Once he's a teenager, it's great.
I haven't seen any of that, so I didn't know.
It's good. It's good stuff, I think. From when I was very young. I should go back to it.
Should go back to watching these things before you make such claims.
I remember it being great. Screenplay by William Hewick and Gloria Katz. We've seen them before working alongside Lucas because they all wrote Radioland Murders from last year. The cast, obviously, Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. We've also got Kate Capshaw as Willie Scott. Very early role for her. She went on to be in 3 other movies in 1984 that we will get to later in the year, potentially. And she did go on to get married to Steven Spielberg.
Good on her.
She is a Bond girl. This is a Bond character.
Yeah. That was what was said in some of the reviews I read. It's this is just a James Bond film.
Yeah. I think Temple of Doom is a James Bond movie, though. If they made 10 of these, if Harrison Ford made 10 Indiana Jones films throughout the 80s and 90s, they would all be a little bit like this, and it would just be historical James Bond.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's not a bad thing.
She's very like the atypical female character.
What do you mean? She just cares about her clothes and she doesn't want to get dirty.
It's sort of exaggerated for comedy's sake,
definitely.
I think.
She's not a great character, though.
She's not really the best character ever, but it's at least on purpose, I feel, a lot of the time.
I think the actress does well. It's just, it's not a great role, but also, it works for the film.
It's bad. Still not as bad as some of the other female roles that we've seen.
Oh, that we've
this
seen?
year,
Definitely not. No way.
Like, getting it from that context, she is definitely not that bad, but definitely could have been better, I feel.
I want to talk about Short Round. He's played by Jonathan Ke Quan. He was 12 at the time. He also played Data in The Goonies.
Huh.
Now, I used to really like Short Round.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good character, like a good kid character. And I think the actor is great in this movie. I think it's cool that he gets a lot of really cool stuff to do. But has it aged well?
Not a fan of Short Round anymore?
I don't think it's aged, but I mean, the comedy comes from his accent. That is the joke.
There's a bit of he has an accent, haha, sort of thing, which isn't entirely great.
No.
But also he is a child doing adult things, like driving a car.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
I like how he frees all the kids, stuff like that was really cool. He gets a lot of stuff to do. He is a good character. There's some good moments with like him and Jones though, which is always good.
I love the card scene. The card scene's one of my favorites, where they're just playing cards. I mean, Willie's screaming in the background, good on her. But they're playing cards, and it's like Indiana Jones accidentally cheats, and then, he accuses, he's like, no, you cheating, nope, I get all the winnings. And then while he's pointing at him, gesturing at him, Indiana Jones spot that he has an ace up his sleeve.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, what's this then? And he's like, and then the child actor smiles, and it feels almost genuine, like the actor wasn't supposed to smile there, but he did anyway, because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it seems like that cheeky sort of child, like, realizing they've been caught and they can't really get away with it, but they're trying to get away with it anyway. I love it.
Yeah. No,
it's one of my personal favorites. I like him as a sidekick. I think he's cool.
I think he's a good sidekick, and he should return in
Avengers Part 2.
Amish Puru is in this. He plays the cult leader, Mola Ram. He's a pretty popular villain actor in various Hindu and Indian movies. He passed away in 2005, but not before acting in a total of 12 movies in 2004.
Wow.
He did 12 movies.
That's more than 2. Good lord.
We've also got Philip Stone in this, very briefly, as the British captain. He's from Clockwork Orange, The Shining, Hitler, The Last 10 Days. He's good. He's
good. He's got like 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
He's alright. He's pretty good. He's a British officer.
More.
Oh, yeah, I'm just checking out the area, making sure everything's top notch. Yeah, that's right.
He's very good. And also, Dan Aykroyd is in this. He has a cameo in the airport. Reception, 85%. Rotten Tomatoes, audience score, 81%. It's pretty good there.
Yeah, it's pretty 80% across the board.
7.6 IMDb, 57 on Metacritic.
57? Jesus. What are they doing over here? Did they watch the movie?
Reception was pretty mixed when it came out, because some were like, oh, I like the darker tones, and then other people were like, I hate the darker tones, bring back the fun. Which is fair enough.
I thought it was a pretty fun movie.
Yeah.
People keep talking about the darker undertones, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's dark. I guess it's very dark, but like I like that.
Yeah,
I like the dark type of, because it's a classic, a good defeats evil sort of movie, and it's very spooky and dark. But Indiana Jones, he manages to get out of the situation and defeat the evil bad guys. Easy done.
This film did receive quite a bit of criticism at the time, though, because of its portrayal of Hinduism, and was temporarily banned in India. So, that's great.
Yeah. No, that is fair.
A lot of people were like, this film led to bad, racist Indian stereotypes. Especially the dinner scene because at the time everyone was like, "Oh, you're Indian, you must eat monkey brains," and they were like, "Of course we don't, you dum dum."
Yeah. No, I feel that. Because it's set in India for most of the film.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a little bit of... Just a little bit of stereotyping. Just a little... Just a bit.
It's also got the whole white savior storyline as well.
Yeah, which isn't...
Which is a bit... The actor who plays the Prime Minister in the movie has a quote online about the dinner scene, which I find pretty interesting. He said that Steven Spielberg intended it as a joke, the joke being that Indians were so smart that they knew all Westerners think that Indians eat cockroaches, so they served them what they expected. The joke was too subtle for the film, though.
Right.
Apparently, in the original script as well, there was a scene where Indy was like, even if they're trying to scare us away, a devout Hindu would never touch meat. Makes you think if these people are doing something else. A hint that they gave them the food to kind of scare them off, even though they wouldn't eat that sort of thing in real life, which is interesting.
Yeah, because I did get the point where they were like, the undertones of not big fans of the British being there. That was very subtle, quotation marks. Where the guy's like, "Oh yes, the British, they're real protective of us. Makes us feel like well cared for children or whatever, you know." And you do get that scene where the lady's like, "Oh, I don't know if I'll eat anything," and the other guy's like, "Come on, dig in." Ha ha ha. It makes sense, and I like that as the sort of undertones that they were just like torturing these white people.
I think that, if that is the meaning behind that scene.
It makes it a lot better, for sure.
On the surface, probably not great. But anyway.
Yeah.
This film is also incredibly influential with the American rating system, because this film, I don't know if you noticed, Zach, it's pretty damn violent for a family movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of hearts being ripped out.
There's an awful lot. However, this isn't an R-rated movie. Steven Spielberg suggested to the Motion Picture Association of America that they change their rating system to introduce something in between PG and R, because there were a lot of films like this and Gremlins that were quite violent but weren't necessarily made for adults. So that they were like, put something in the middle, and the rating systems were like, yeah, okay. So they made PG-13, which eventually came to Australia as M. So
yeah. There was a quote I read somewhere which was like, no one 12 or under should watch this or something, is what he said.
I watched this when I was like 7. So
I said 8. So you know.
Yeah.
The rules, they're more like guidelines.
They're guidelines. It cost $28.2 million. What do you think it made?
250.
More than that.
500?
Made 333 million.
Okay. I was in the ballpark.
Yeah, it's still the lowest out of the entire franchise. Raiders made about 390, Last Crusade 275, Crystal Skull almost 800 million. So it's the lowest, but I think that makes sense because it was pretty violent compared to the others.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I think that means we have no choice but to jump into it.
Yeah, let's just jump into it.
So it's set in 1935. We open in Shanghai, and there is a stage show. See?
Dude, I love the intro. It's just this random ass, dance scene while the credits roll by.
It's good. What do you think of, because in Raiders, and I've rewatched this, so I know it, I've rewatched the version on Netflix, so the latest version. The font in Raiders is just Raiders of the Lost Ark in like kind of small, thin green font. In this one, they used the Indiana Jones logo, and are like, Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom.
Yes, but they also have the credits as well. Which are like red, just sort of like bold letters.
Which is interesting because they then go back to the style of font from Raiders for Crusade. It's interesting that they went for such an in-your-face credit sequence. I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I mean, the scene itself is very enjoyable, so it's hard not to enjoy. Although I did think the text was like very in your face, distracting you from, the intro that's actually happening in the background, which I was almost more interested in.
Yeah. It's in front of all the dancers, but behind Willie. So
Yes, which I like that effect.
it's a good effect. It looks great, yeah.
I thought it was very clever.
The general premise of this scene is there's this, would you say crime lord?
Some sort of mob boss, sort of.
In Shanghai. He's hired Indy to find the Narachi, I believe it's called.
Yeah, the ancient ashes of the first emperor.
That's right. And Indy found it, and then they sent a guy after him to steal it. And he's like, what's going on here? You're not paying me?
Oh, it's great. I love the scene. He waltzes up to the table, and they start a back and forth, and it's like...
So, you managed to get the ashes? And he's like, yeah, you know I did, because you try and send a guy to grab them.
Yeah.
It's this nice back and forth, you know? The skill and the negotiation is really, like, iconic sort of thing.
It's good, yeah. It's very, again, there's a lot of similarities, quite James Bondy in this moment as well.
Yeah, but I like this because it shows that Indiana Jones isn't an idiot when it comes to this. He he knows how to play the game,
which you wouldn't know from a lot of the previous films because he's very much making it up as he goes along. In this one, he's kind of commanding the situation. It's nice to see.
Yeah. And I like the line where it's like he's like, "You have dishonored my son by accusing him of the robbery," and he's like, "No, you've dishonored me by trying to steal it."
That was good. Yeah.
It's like turning the tables on the guy.
We're introduced to Willie. She comes up. One of the first lines is, "I thought archaeologists were always funny little men searching for their mummies."
and then Indiana Jones. Did you have the subtitles on?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he corrects her to mummies. As in the tomb wrapped up mummies.
Yeah. Good joke.
It's really funny in the subtitles because she says mummies like your mum and he says mummies like a tomb.
Yeah.
It's only in the subtitles, which is great.
Then the crime lord, he pulls a gun on Indy, so he pulls a knife on Willie, and they're like, what's going to happen here? A little bit of tension, which was nice.
Yeah. There's like a turntable between them, so he chucks a bag of coins on the turntable, passes it over, but Indy's like, no, I asked for the diamond.
Yeah.
The accuser pulls out the diamond, puts it on the table, they spin it around, then he grabs this diamond, and he's like, cheers, and he pulls out... He gestures over to a friend who brings over the statue.
The real hero of the movie. He gets killed off way too quickly.
So he passes over the ashes, and they're like, yes, the ashes. And then Indiana Jones toasts. Unfortunately, the drink had poison in it.
It did.
Never drink a drink that's offered to you from a mob boss.
Indeed. And he's got the antidote, and Indy's like, buddy, give me the antidote. And they're like, nah, we're going to kill your friend. So they kill his friend.
At this point, Indiana Jones sweating.
Yeah.
You know, the poison, it's taken effect.
The guy gets skewered by this flaming meat skewer.
A flaming meat skewer at a dude and just impales him.
It completely impales him. So the antidote goes flying.
It was a bit like out of the blue, honestly, for me. I was not expecting that.
I thought it was great.
I did not remember that scene happening. I was just a bit like, that was a bit violent. Good Lord.
The antidote is rolling around on the floor with the diamond, and Willie's trying to find the diamond, but she keeps finding the antidote.
Because at this point, everyone's panicking. There's loads of crowds of people. There's a lot of them that somehow don't file their way out in, like, less than a minute. They're all just running around like headless chickens.
I think it makes sense. Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense.
No. If you think about it, it doesn't, though. There's so many people, and they're running back and forth, not in the same direction to get out. They're just running back and forth. I guess there is also dancers that pop in at one point.
Yeah, there are,
that just start dancing as well. It's weird. But they're kicking around the diamond and the antidote, and it's flying around on the dance floor while they're crawling around trying to get it. Meanwhile, the accuser boss is trying to get his bad guys to shoot Indiana Jones.
She finds the antidote and pockets it, and he's like, wait there, you're coming with me, we're going to escape together. And the way that they escape's pretty epic.
Yep.
There's a giant symbol, he loosens it up, it rolls along the ground. They use that as cover and then fly out of the window. It's pretty fun. From the outside, we see that the club is called Obi-Wan. So that's
Yes. Haha. Little reference there.
References. Yeah, they jump down into Short Round's car. He says, "Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold your potatoes," which I thought was funny. And
A classic line.
and they escape. I've got a note here saying there's already been 2 Wilhelm screams, and we're only 12 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, no, there's like several.
So
Like
many.
later on at the end of the climax of the movie, they're up on the bridge and stuff, and people are falling off, and of course they have to make the Wilhelm scream.
It's great. It's only in Raiders maybe once, but they put it in so much in this film.
Yeah,
but
no.
I think it's fun.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of people that it's very distracting.
Oh, yeah.
I prefer it if it's in once, and I go, there it is, and then you don't do it again.
The car chase is pretty great. Love the car chase. It ends with them going to an airport, and I'm pretty sure C-3PO is the guy that approaches them. I think it's the actor. He sounds pretty similar. It's either him or Dan Aykroyd. I don't know which one.
He's procured them a plane, so they run in, they jump on the plane, and he's like, haha, I've gotten away. And we see the Yakuza boss just get there and sort of shake his fist at him.
How dare you get away?
And then Indiana Jones closes the door, and it has the mob boss's name on the plane.
Yeah, and he's like, ha ha ha.
And it's like, goodbye, Dr. Jones.
He motions to the pilots, and they're like, yep, we know what to do.
I think they probably call him up, and it's like, hey, buddy, if you could ditch the plane, just run the fuel out, and jump out of the plane if you could. Make sure you take the parachutes. Don't forget those. But yeah, so Indiana Jones dies. That'd be good. And while you're at it, don't try pointing the plane at the ground or anything. Just leave it. You'll be fine.
That was... whatever. It's fine. That is what they do. They sneak out. Willie wakes up and is like, oh no. Oh no. No one's flying the plane. Which is a great quote. It's iconic.
Yep.
No one's flying the plane. And so their plan is they get an inflatable boat. They jump out of the plane in the boat.
Yep.
I liked the quote, a boat, we're not sinking, we're crashing.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, people have an issue with him surviving a nuke in a fridge.
Yeah.
But no one has an issue with him falling out of the sky in an inflatable boat.
Let's say it's like 30 feet or something.
It looks pretty... I mean, the fall goes on for like at least 10 seconds.
It's pretty high, but also it's not high enough that it's unreasonable that the first part of the fall they could survive while still maybe breaking a leg or something. I think it's survivable, but they definitely should have broken a leg or something.
Yeah.
Not come out of it not even a scratch.
That's my issue with it, is that it just kind of turns into them sledding down a hill.
I think Mythbusters did a thing on it as well at some point.
They did. Yeah, you're right. I have to check that out.
That's just the first bit of the scene, by the way. There's even worse bits that come up.
Yeah, they go down a mountain, then they go off a cliff, and then they land in some rapids.
They cut between props sliding down on a boat and then them in the green screen room sliding down on it.
What do you mean?
Very obvious nowadays, but
It's definitely not them in a green screen room with a fan blowing on their face.
never.
That's definitely not what this scene is.
Absolutely
They're not staying in the same place going, whoa, it's rocking around. That's not what this is. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, yeah.
The rapids is what annoyed me, though. I thought the rapids looked worse.
What do you mean the rapids? The cliff that they go off.
The fall is almost bigger than the fall from the plane.
At that point, I knew that this was some sort of magical boat, though, so it didn't really annoy me.
Oh, right. Yeah, no. This it seemed bigger than the fall from the plane, because the plane was just about to crash anyway. Mm-hmm. Also, falling onto a river, they definitely break a bone or something.
Definitely. They escape the rapids, and we got a great quote from Willie, where she says, I hate the water, and I hate being wet, and I hate you.
3 things you can just agree with. Absolutely.
So they are now in India. They see this old man, and they follow him to this poor village.
Yep.
They reveal that one of their stones, their guardian stones, have been stolen. And they're like, Indiana Jones, you have been sent by the gods to help us retrieve this stone.
Yes, you, white man, you have been sent to save all of us.
Yep.
Thank goodness this white person is here to save the day.
Meanwhile, Willie is like, their food is gross. I don't like food that's not from Western places.
Yikes.
Yucko.
To be fair, it's kind of realistic, though.
For her character, it makes complete sense that she would be like this. Yeah, definitely.
Which sort of hurts some of the time. It's like, yeah, you know what? That's probably what she would do. She'd be like, no, I don't want to eat it. And he's like, they are starving.
They're starving
people, and they are offering their food as a sign of goodwill. Please goddamn eat it.
Which is the nice thing about Indy in this movie. He's quite respectful towards all this stuff, which is good.
Oh, yeah, he's very respectful towards people. Like, he knows their cultures and respects them and, like, their traditions and all of that, which I like.
Yeah, which is quite good. He still wants to steal all their stuff.
Yeah, no, he'll still take their... although, to be fair, in this, he doesn't take the relic, he returns it to them and is like, hey...
Yeah.
Here you go.
He's a pretty bad archaeologist. When you think about it, he's
sucks
potentially the
sucks
worst archaeologist.
To be fair, he literally sees them glow with magic.
Yeah. I just want to see him do some actual archaeology. I just want a whole movie of him dusting off some bones.
You just want, like, an hour movie where it's just, like, him in an excavation site, you know, digging up the ground, and it's like, ooh, this is part of the ceramic pot.
To be honest, that's probably an episode of Young Indiana Jones.
I mean, probably, like an ancient dynasty pot.
Although I'm pretty sure in the first episode he stops a child slavery ring. Like, in the first episode he does that, so maybe not. I don't know.
But yeah, definitely missing those in a hole in the ground, dusting off a old piece of pottery scene.
Yeah.
We really need those scenes in these sort of movies.
So they jump on some elephants and they head off to the palace. Willie keeps putting perfume on the elephant, which is annoying. But what is more annoying to me, I think, is Short Round being like, this elephant's my best friend. Come with me to America and join a circus.
What do you mean?
Yes, this elephant should be locked up and not kept here in India where it can do whatever it wants.
But I have a problem with Willie in this scene. Because one, you're torturing this elephant with this super potent perfume. They have a very sensitive nose to these sort of things. It's quite large. Don't know if you've noticed. But also, she says it's very expensive. And then next scene uses it on the elephant.
Yep.
It's very expensive. Stop wasting it on the elephant.
Well, she's rich.
I get the elephant is smelly.
It's a smell-elephant, more like it. Am I right?
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. That poor elephant, though. Like, ugh.
Well, it gets its retribution, though, which is great.
Yeah, it sprays her with water, and then she screams, I hate being outside!
Because she falls off into a pool of water. She gets her comeuppance, as it were.
So they're going along.
There's a scene where they first bump into a statue of Kali, and it scares off the
guide.
Yeah, the guides are like, nope, we're not going any further, and they take the elephants.
The statues have like gruesome necklaces, which looked really good. However, I'm pretty sure one of those statues is the exact same statue that's in the opening of Raiders. I think they're the same prop.
Yeah, it might be.
I might be wrong, but they look very similar considering I watched them back to back.
Yeah, but they are cool. The practical statue effects, very cool.
Oh yeah, I like the line as well when the guide runs off with the elephants and Indy's like, "We walk from here." It's a good line.
Yeah,
it's a good moment.
I like when Willie's like, they're stealing our elephants. You know, the ones that they gave to you.
Yeah.
Out of the kindness of their hearts, they let you ride on elephants and guided them for you. Yeah, they're stealing those. How dare they, Willie?
Oh, the moment where they're like walking up to the palace and the bats are going everywhere. The music's incredible in that scene. Oh, it's good.
Very, very foreboding.
Yes,
almost.
It's good. And they approach the palace and the Prime Minister is there, and he's like, "Oh, I recognize in the name Indiana Jones. You're a famous archaeologist, even though you've done nothing for the thing of archaeology.
You're famous
you just shoot
for
people.
literally not bringing back a fucking thing. You useless bastard. Which seems like a very, aggressive line for the Prime Minister to say.
So they go into the palace. Willie dresses up like a princess and is like, does the Maharaja have a wife? And they're like, no. And she's like,
Gotta get me some of that rich.
Turns out he's a
Rich
little
boy.
12-year-old boy. And she's like, no.
No, thank you. I like Short Round's line of maybe he's into older women.
That was good.
Yeah, that's a good line.
That was pretty funny. Snake surprise. I've just got that written down in my
Snake
notes.
surprise. Yeah, it's a mother snake that they kill and cook up, but the snakes, like the little baby snakes, are still in its stomach. So they coil it around the thing and then they open it up and all the little baby snakes emerge.
Yeah.
In a crawling mass.
Yeah.
Which is just delightful, honestly.
Pretty much. The Maharaja, he talks about how he's ashamed of their history, the palace's history in particular, because the Thuggee cult used to be there, and they used to sacrifice people to their flame gods into
Kali,
a whirlpool of CGI lava.
Yes. Because Indiana Jones is like, oh yeah, I'm really interested in the old history of this place.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Thuggee cult? And the Prime Minister's like, no Thuggee cult here. No, we erased all of that.
The Prime Minister has the same voice as the British captain.
Oh, yes. No. The British cap is way more British. He's like, I'm That's exactly how he sounds.
Exactly.
And then you've got the Prime Minister who's like, no Thuggee cult here. No.
Don't like it.
They all died off and nothing's wrong here.
Nope.
No, we didn't kidnap children. No, we didn't take any relics.
No, we don't have a man underneath the palace who is really good at tearing hearts out of people, even though it's never explained.
Would you like some monkey brain ice cream? Here. Enjoy. Willie has a fainting spell, obviously.
Obviously, she does.
Because she is a dainty woman, so she has to at least once in this movie.
Yep, I liked after the dinner scene, short round and Indy are walking back to their rooms, and Indy's like, I think I'd better check on Willie. And Short Round's like, that's all you better do. Tell me later what happened. Wink, wink. It's like, you're 12.
You're 12. To be fair, that's puberty time. That's horny.
To be fair, you're 12 years old, but you're also the sidekick to Indiana Jones, who was basically James Bond. So, yeah, this would happen a lot.
Yeah.
Indy brings Willie some fruit, and she's like, "Oh yeah, let's flirt."
Oh yeah, he says something.
It's like
she goes, "This will be the best time of your life," and he's like, "We'll see about that. I have to make sure I do thorough research on the situation. I'll let you know in the morning." And she's like, "How freaking dare you?"
Which is fair enough.
Yeah, it's funny.
And then she's like, you'll be back here in 5 minutes. So they each check their clocks constantly for 2 minutes.
For the other person to come over.
Yeah, and Indy's about to go, I guess. But then a man suddenly appears from the painting behind him, which is a great scene.
Yeah, no, that's very freaky.
I kind of rewound it a couple seconds to actually see if the man is there for the whole time. And he is. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, because there's a painting with all these, guards and stuff of the palace painted on it.
Yeah.
And he's just in between them, so you just don't see him at all, and then he just suddenly appears. It's very cool.
It's good, yeah.
Very well done.
Then he starts choking Indy to death, and Short Round's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, he hears the, sounds of fighting, so he brings Indy his whip.
Well, originally he thinks it's the sounds of something else, but then...
Well, yeah, no. He hears these loud sounds happening, and he's like, oh no. And then, smashing sounds, and he's like, oh, wait, that's not good.
So he gives Indy the whip, and long story short, he hangs the guy on the fan.
Which is Bit of a bummer, dude.
Yeah, that poor guy.
Whoopsie daisy.
At first, I thought that like his head was gonna go through the fan and just explode everywhere, but they don't.
No,
they don't do
it's
that.
it's not a horror movie. It's not
not.
like a cheesy horror movie.
I mean, they do that in Raiders, but you know.
yeah.
They go and check on Willie, and they notice that there is a draft behind one of the stone carvings on the fireplace. So he feels up the carvings. It leads to a pathway. A pathway just filled with bugs. The ground is bugs.
Yep, it is horrifying. Honestly, I would not be a fan of going in there.
That's fair enough. I think that's pretty fair enough.
I'm not gonna act all brave and tough. I'd be like, I'm gonna go back to the palace and have some monkey brains. I feel maybe there's some leftovers.
So they go into this smaller room. Short Round stands up against a wall, and
No. He's told to stand up against the wall. It's not his fault. It's definitely not his fault.
it's definitely not his fault.
Yeah,
He
he
just-
leans on like a stone brick
Yeah.
by accident, and it like pushes in, and now the ceiling starts to collapse.
Ooh.
Ta-da.
There's a really cool shot of this skeleton almost looking like it's standing up because the spike is pushing it higher and higher. Incredible shot. Terrified me when I was 7. I was like, oh, there's a blade skeleton!
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they start yelling, and then Willie hears them, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna get all dirty again."
So she
Oh,
goes through,
dear.
and she sees all the bugs, and she's like, oh, let me into the room! But Indy's like, no, let us out of the room!
And for once, she doesn't scream like one little bit during this entire scene.
Doesn't she, like, chip her nail or something? And she's like, oh, I chipped my nail!
This is before she sees the bugs. She's like, "Oh man, I chipped a nail," and she like turns her hand over and sees a bug on her hand, and she's like, "Ah, ah."
She's gotta stick her hand in a gross hole, and then she does that, and she saves them.
Sorry, what was that?
She sticks her hand
Sticks
in
her hand in a gross hole.
gross hole. That's my
Quote
note.
of the century.
But before she does that, there's another really cool scene where this spike is like going through Indy's hat, and it's like right next to his face. It looks dangerous. Great shot. There's some good stuff in this movie.
Yeah, I think that's the intent.
Yeah.
There's spikes in a ceiling that's slowly going to crush them. I think it's not exactly friendly.
I think so. Anyway, I thought that shot was pretty spectacular. It's good stuff.
Yeah, this whole scene's pretty good. I like this scene.
There, she walks in, and then she also goes against the wall, and
Yeah, she also accidentally presses the button again. So the walls start closing again, and they're like, "Oh no, not again!" And they quickly run out.
yeah, they go under the lowering slab, enter a dark red cave, quite ominous. They hear chanting, and it leads them to a thuggy ceremony where they are sacrificing a dude. The design for this chamber is pretty cool.
Dude, the sets in this movie are really cool.
Yeah, they're good stuff.
This was my favorite. Yeah, because you could see this like whole room's been set up with this giant statue, which must have taken them ages to build and stuff. Like that's where some of this budget's going. Is that room? It was amazing.
They put a man in a cage, and then the leader pulls out his heart. Now, how does he do that? Is he superpowered?
Yeah, it's magic. Yeah, absolutely.
Is it magic though?
Yes, because the guy stays alive and his wound heals up behind the heart.
It's definitely magic.
It's absolutely what?
The thing is though, like in Raiders, Indy says, "I don't believe in magic."
Oh yeah, that is
even
weird.
though he's seen this in his past. So either this isn't magic, or he forgot, or it's almost like they made this film second.
Anyway, he pulls out his heart, and then it's pretty cool because the guy's wound then heals up behind him, and he's holding this beating heart.
It looks great for that time. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, and then they lower him into the fiery pit of swirling CGI lava.
Yep. And
it looks pretty good. I don't know.
But yeah, it does look good. It looks.
I didn't have a problem with CGI lava. Except, actually, no. The shots where it's, like, behind them, you can tell it's being lowered into CGI.
Yeah, the shots
which
where
is
it's
great.
more of like a... the side shots are good.
But as he's lowered into the lava, the heart lights on fire, which I thought was cool. It's like it's still in his chest, but it's not.
There's a bunch of stones and they're glowing, and Indy's like, oh, I'm going to wait for everyone to leave this temple so I can take the stones.
Yeah, everyone just leaves.
Yeah.
There's not a single person that stays back, so Indiana Jones just sort of walks around and grabs the stones.
He grabs the stones, but then he hears the cries of children, and he's like, oh, I should probably go on and investigate that. Oh, there was also a jump scare as Willie and Short Round get captured as well.
Yeah, it's a slight jump scare, yeah.
He finds a mine, there's a bunch of child slaves in the mine, and he's like, oh no, this is not good. Then he gets locked up with a bunch of them, and it's revealed that the kids are forced to drink this blood, and it kind of turns them into just like emotionless, thoughtless machines. I liked how you got to drink it out of a skull.
Yeah, the skull cup was like pretty gross.
Pretty gross.
And then it poured blood into Indiana Jones' mouth, but he spits it out like, haha.
Yeah.
They whip him up a bit, punch him up a bit, and then force him to drink it.
There's the voodoo doll as well.
Oh, yeah, the voodoo doll.
Which I completely forgot about.
I remember it. I remember a lot of these things from the Lego game,
Oh, yeah.
funnily enough. Because you play through the Lego game and it has a lot of these scenes as like a Lego. There's a boss battle where it's this child torturing Indy because it's the prince running around the level and you have to chase after him. And every time he gets away, there's like a tiny cutscene where you see him torturing the voodoo doll.
I remember that. Great stuff. Before they ruined it by adding in actual voices. Yeah, I'll say it. Prefer it when it was silent. But just them being like,
Absolutely. I liked the silent comedy. Not in one of the Star Wars games, it's really bad. Like, it's like different studio.
Oh, the Clone Wars one. Yeah.
It's like the Clone Wars one. It's really bad in that. But the other ones, it's really good.
The Clone Wars game in general wasn't very good.
Welcome to Oldie But a Goodie, the show where we review Lego games.
I used to love the Batman one where you could play as the villains. It was good stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great.
Classic. Anyway, he drinks the blood and then he transforms into a werewolf.
I don't remember that one.
He's like writhing around on the bed, be like, ah, and it looks like he's transforming into something. It's quite a good scene, but it does feel a little bit out of place.
I didn't feel that. I mean, obviously he was struggling against this potion that's taking control of his mind.
Ooh.
And then he's all like, let's get down to business with these dank rituals, yo.
Yeah, so they do another ceremony. I guess it's the day after?
Yeah, I think so.
Or do they do multiple ceremonies a day?
It could have been a week, for all we know.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Because we do see Short Round in the mines, like, mining away, so...
Actually, yeah, it could have been a while.
Hey, look, they had the like, morning ritual for, you know, all the mothers and families to come in, and then the sort of evening ritual, if you're, like, you know, for the young, hip teenagers, you know? You gotta have that hip teenage one, and they have a bit of youth group afterwards, you know?
You're not wrong.
They play all the more funky, upbeat tunes rather than, you know...
Instead of sacrificing just a guy, they sacrifice Willie, who's famous and attractive singer.
Yeah, it's more in tune with the kids.
Yeah.
They can do their Snapchats and TikToks.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, sacrificing this famous person. Whoa.
What? Anyway, Willie, yeah, she's the next sacrifice. She's not yelling as much in this scene as I think the character would. We cut between her being locked up in a cage and lowered into a pit and Short Round trying to escape the mines. We cut between the two. Eventually, Short Round, he gets into the ceremony room and he slaps Indy. He's like, wake up.
And then Indy's like, yo, nah, I'm gonna sacrifice you next. And he's like, Indy, no.
So he burns Indy.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a fight scene where he's chased around by bad guys, but he gets a torch and he waves it around, and then Indy tries to get him and he burns him.
He just burns him, and that seems to snap him out of it.
The cure from this is the fire, which is interesting because they're like sacrificing people to a fire, so maybe there's a connection there with fire and that.
Yeah, it is quite.
But it snaps Indy out of it. But Indy, quick thinking, thinking on his feet, pretends to be evil still, as he's like, no, the little one's mine, so don't kill him, let me kill him.
Yeah, I'll do it. And he's like, hey, listen, I'm not actually evil. I'll kill ya. I'm not evil, you hear me?
Sorry, Indy?
Yeah,
What?
it's me.
You don't sound like you. You sound weirdly Australian.
You remember how I drink the stuff?
Yes.
It brainwashed me, but it also turned me into an Aussie. But now I'm...
Oh, right. I thought you had taken multiple potions. Like, you started off as Australian, then took a potion to make you into Indiana Jones. And then took another potion to become evil.
Yeah.
And now that snapped you out of both of them, and you've come back to your true form. An Australian outspec.
Oh, Australian Indiana Jones would be pretty cool. I'd watch
Oh,
that.
crikey, mate. Hand over the gem, mate. And a flag of VB. Will we slab? That'll be right.
For all our international listeners, VB is a very memeable Australian beer.
It's a Victorian bitter.
Yeah.
And it's a beer.
They beat everyone up. I really liked how Indy's going to save Willie. He uses the Prime Minister's body to stop her descent. He puts his hat back on. He helps every single person escape. We get a bunch of scenes of all the kids fighting back, which is awesome.
Yeah, I love the fight scene. So they go into the mines to save the children, and he fights this giant guard dude that he's been battling throughout these scenes. But meanwhile, the prince pulls out the voodoo doll and then gets like this pin and starts torturing Indy. So Short Round has to like hop up a conveyor that's like lifting rocks, and he jumps on and then starts fighting the prince to get the pin out of the voodoo doll. Meanwhile, the super evil guard dude like puts Indiana Jones on the stone crushing device, like conveyor belt, and like holds him down there. Short Round manages to pull the pin out of the voodoo doll, and so Indiana Jones suddenly gets the advantage and flips the bad guy on his back and starts punching him. Meanwhile, in the background, Willie's being useless.
Completely useless.
Is like air boxing.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, yeah, get him.
He squashes the big guy as well through the...
Yeah, manages to hold the big guy down, and then the big guy gets squashed by the rock machine, which we don't see. Which, honestly, thank goodness.
I mean, we don't see a lot of the gruesome deaths in this franchise. We do see the blood on the wheel afterwards, and that's about as graphic as I think it needed to get, because this is a family movie, so, you know.
Yeah, I think so. I agreed.
Also, Short Round, he puts fire on that kid, and the kid is now not evil, and is like, this is how you escape.
Yeah, it turns out the kid has been mind controlled.
Anyway, they jump in a minecart,
Yeah.
and this is the best part of the movie.
As they start getting chased on minecarts.
There's no music in this sequence until the point where there are two rails and there's two carts on either sides of those rails.
Yeah.
That's when the music comes in. But there's like 4, maybe 5 minutes of just silence and action, which is great.
Yeah. I thought it was timed well. I thought it was good.
It's really good. There's a couple kind of scratchy CGI moments where a cart like hits a guy on a track and goes flying off, and it looks pretty bad.
It just gets launched.
Yeah.
It's like, yes. There goes the CGI cart. R.I.P.
Yeah. But it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It looks
There's like
fine.
scenes, so they're like running through, and they go underneath a trough of rocks or whatever. So Indiana Jones hits it with a spade, and it like just after them like pours all these rocks onto the bad guys, so they crash.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys that manage to like hop onto the cart itself, and Indiana Jones has to punch one of them off.
Yeah, good
He
moment.
punches them off, turns to the other two and like smiles. Ha, see, I got him, sort of smile. And then the guy springs back up, like he grabbed the side of it and starts fighting again, and he's like, oh! I thought that was great.
That is good. There's a moment where a cart falls over, and then one of the bad guys' cart hits that cart, and I think the cart that was on the ground is completely CGI. The cart that is on rails is real. But the contact looked pretty good. It was actually surprisingly good.
It's pretty good.
It was a good moment. It's one of the only CGI moments.
Yeah, the CGI in this scene's not too bad because it doesn't dwell on it for very long. It's just like...
they're quite short. Well, I mean, it's a fast-paced scene in general. So
It's a very fast-paced scene, and it's already pretty, like, blurry and, you know...
Yeah.
It works. It works a lot better.
Yeah. They're also being chased by water. That's important.
As they're getting away, the main bad guy dude's like, release the water, get him. And so they just tip over this giant vat of water that like floods the tunnels.
They do that, yeah.
I believe Indiana Jones, he stops the cart by slamming his foot into the wheel as a brake.
Yep, he uses his shoes as brakes, which makes them catch on fire.
That should have like ripped through the rubber and like burnt his foot. Like,
it definitely would.
I've done that before on a scooter or on it, and just on a scooter, it becomes so hot that it like melts rubber and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Let alone on a mine cart.
On a cart, it would have gone through his shoe pretty instantaneously. Yeah, he wouldn't.
Yeah,
have...
like burnt the rubber off and burnt his foot.
Yeah, he wouldn't have gotten off as easy as he does.
Yeah, he gets off pretty easy for only having his shoe on fire for a little bit.
Yeah, so he manages to stop the mine cart, and he's like, water, water,
water, quick! I gotta put out my foot. Water. And then we see off in the distance this flood coming, and he's like, water.
It's a pretty good quote, because he's like, water. Again, it's just a Han Solo moment, because Han Solo would 100% do the same thing.
Absolutely. And so they quickly run out this tunnel. They get to the end of it, and it's like open out onto a cliff.
Now you have issues with this scene, right?
Yeah, they quickly run to the side of the cliff as this water just sort of jets out. And there's like a 2-second scene where it's like a long distance shot of the water pouring out. You see them on the cliffside, and they are very, like, obviously CGI'd, like, puppet outlines of the characters.
Oh, okay.
It's not great. It's like the like YouTube level CGI that you see nowadays, sort of thing.
It doesn't last for too long, because then they've got to cross the bridge anyway.
Yep, so they climb up.
This annoyed me, because they get on the bridge, and Willie's like, I don't like this bridge, it doesn't look safe. And so Short Round is like, I'm going to jump up and down on this bridge.
I mean, yeah.
And show you that it's safe. Then he just falls through. I mean, he's 12 years old, so it makes sense.
Yeah, then he falls through and then gets eaten by a crocodile. I also had issues with this scene. I was like, wow, that child just died.
Yeah.
But no.
It's one of the only moments where he's acting like a kid so much that it annoyed me, but it also, I don't know, whatever.
I mean, yeah, probably pretty stupid. I mean, this bridge is a pretty large wooden old bridge. I wouldn't have jumped on it personally.
No.
Although it did remind me of Shrek. The Shrek scene where Donkey doesn't want to go on the bridge. Just saying.
It's like that. So they head off on the bridge and they cross it and then are met by Mola Ram on the other side. Meanwhile, Indy has to fight a bunch of guys with swords and he's like, oh, guys with swords, I've done this before, I'm going to reach for my gun. Except this is a prequel. So either this is a move that he pulls all of the time.
I think, yeah. It's a reference to the previous movie, and I think that's what he does. He just pulls a gun out on sword people, which makes sense.
Except he doesn't have a gun in this one, so he has to fight them.
Yeah, he's like, uh-oh, my gun's missing.
So he gets chased by these guys, he gets on the bridge, there's a very tense standoff between him and the Mola Ram. And so what he does is he chops one of the ropes and the bridge just cuts in half and half the men go flying down into the river below.
I like the bad guy. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, I mean, it was pretty obvious what he was going to do at the end there. There's not much out other than cut the bridge.
Ah, well,
or jump.
This must be the best day of those gators' lives.
Oh, yeah?
Because they're getting so much food.
I mean, there's a lot of gators down there, so obviously something's sustaining them. Maybe they eat some of the sacrifices occasionally. I don't know. But yeah, no, those crocodiles were having a great day.
Yeah.
There was food just falling from the sky.
Phenomenal day to be a crocodile.
Great day.
The bridge has been cut in half, and Indy and the team, but also the bad guy, are hanging onto one of the bridges. They're all hanging onto one of them. They got to climb up, and so he has a bit of a fight with the Mola Ram. I wrote down a note saying, heart grab refused, mister. Because he tries to grab Indy's heart, and he's like, no.
I like this, because the guy, like, uses tries to grab Indiana Jones' heart, and the guy's real confident about it. But Indiana Jones isn't tied up like his usual targets, so he just sort of grabs the hand. They struggle for a bit, and then Indiana Jones sort of just pushes his hand, like, it's like, not today. And the guy's like, oh, this is a lot harder when they're not tied up. He sort of, he was all confident before, but then he wasn't. They fight over the stones. The bad guy then grabs the stones and is like, give them to me. The stones, like, light on fire. It burns the bag, and they start falling out into the river. But the bad guy, he's like, no! And he grabs one of them, but it's still hot from the flames, so it burns his hand, and he's like, ah! But then he falls off, and he gets his comeuppance as he falls in, like, as you said, CGI falls.
Yeah, he just
like,
keeps, like, bumping his head on the side of this cliff.
Which I thought was good. Not only does he get eaten by crocs, but he, like, slams into the side of the cliff at one point.
I thought it was
a little over the top.
It was funny, but it was a little silly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was very over the top, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Some solid comeuppance for the bad guy.
It wasn't too bad. It was,
And I like, it was like, you know, the stones caused his comeuppance. Like, the gods had their revenge on him.
The army also rock up, and everyone's like, ha 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 ha, we survived, ha 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 ha. And they return back to the village. They give them back their stone. And then all the kids return to the village as well. All the kids that have been stolen. And all the parents are like, yeah, my kids are back.
Woo!
Which is good. Indy's like, come on, team, let's go back home. Who knows what other adventures we might go on before we reach home.
And then Willie's like, nah.
No, I'm going back to Missouri where they never feed you snakes, try to take your heart out, and then lower you into a hot pit.
But then Indiana Jones pulls out his whip and he's like, whoosh, come back here, lady. And he pulls her close, and then they go for a kiss. But then Short Round is like, nah, elephant time.
I like how against them getting together Short Round is. It's great.
But then they make out anyway.
End of the movie. It's a goodie.
Yeah, it's a goodie.
Yeah,
it's definitely not as good as the other two films.
No, it's the worst one.
I will hold reserve for Crystal Skull because I haven't seen it at all.
Oh, Crystal Skull is so much worse, but it doesn't count.
Oh, right, but it doesn't count.
Because it's got aliens and therefore is not canon in my internal canon.
Yeah, but also there's magic. So do you canon magic?
Yes.
So magic is canon, but aliens are not.
Because mystical. Mystical's fine. An alien
is sci-fi
and silly. More silly.
Yeah, like I think I could have dealt with aliens if they didn't have like the spaceship at the very end.
Actually, it was the spaceship that kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah,
I don't mind the idea of like interdimensional beings, and that's why Kate Blanchett's like head explodes because she's got all this knowledge. I don't mind that, but the spaceship was cool. Stupid.
Because that's almost mystical and magical.
Yeah, exactly.
Spaceship is just like futuristic.
Get out of here with your spaceships, George Lucas. Nah, you're alright. Good on you. Anyway, yeah, I think this is a goodie. It does feel like a disposable action film in the sense that a lot of James Bond movies do, but I think that's fine. I think it doesn't.
I think it's a very fun
ruin it.
movie.
Yeah. It's also kind of non-stop. This film never gives you a chance to catch your breath. It's like constant action the entire way through. There's never not something happening either, which is always good.
That's
so
true.
Something's always happening. There's some really good locations, pretty good acting for the most part. I
love the set.
The sets are incredible. The action's great. The music's great. It is, more problematic than any of the other Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
But I think you can look past it.
Yeah.
More so than you can any other film from the 80s that we've covered that does this sort of stuff.
Yeah, so far, yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely a goodie for me. It would be like a 3.5, whereas the other movies are a 4.
Oh, the other movies, I don't know. I give Raiders a 5, to be honest.
Yeah, like a 4.5.
Oh,
probably.
I didn't rate Raiders. It gets the Dead Dad Award, even though that's not something we're doing this year.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna give
No.
Dead
Dead Dad Award.
Even though his dad is definitely not dead because his dad's in the third one.
Sure, yeah. Sean Connery. We'll give him the Proud Dad.
Proud Dad Award.
Proud Dad Award.
5 out of 5. I do want to go back and do Last Crusade. I haven't watched that one in probably about 5 years or something. It's been a while.
God, I love Sean Connery.
Check that out. Oh, he's got Sean Connery. He probably beat his wife. What?
And I mean that kind of ties it into the James Bond. I'm just saying.
So 2 goodies from us from Temple of Doom.
Yeah, I mean that'll shock the audience when we give this 2 goodies. Yeah, I know.
We've done so many goodies recently. I almost feel like we should do another bad film, but it's good. I like doing good stuff.
It is good. I mean, we probably will. Why? Don't jinx it.
I mean, Firestarter, Toxic Avenger, now this, back to back. It's been good. It's been a good time. Also Breakin', which was also pretty fun. 2 goodies for Temple of Doom. Let's pitch a sequel. Before we pitch a sequel, there is, of course, the actual sequel. Came out in...
What do you mean? When? Huh? There's a sequel to this?
Last Crusade.
Woo.
Sean Connery is his dad. They go to walk across an invisible bridge.
Yeah.
That's that movie.
Why was that the scene that you chose? They've got to cross an invisible bridge.
It's the iconic
That's the
part.
scene you chose to reference?
It's the iconic part of Last Crusade.
It's okay. It's one of them. Maybe the chalice of
Yeah, but that's a spoiler. That's a spoiler, though.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Even though the invisible bridge is also a massive spoiler.
Yeah. Hey, there's Nazis.
Yep.
Boom. Spoilers. Oh, no. The most iconic scene. We've come to see the tapestries.
So good.
That's the most iconic scene.
That's incredible. In 1992, the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles started on TV. It ran for 2 seasons, and the budget was so high that when the ratings were just okay, they went, "This is too expensive. We can't make this anymore." So they got.
Oh, really? Wow.
They cancelled it, and they finished it up with a bunch of TV movies, and then for the VHS release, and I have a lot of these on VHS actually, they basically re-edited the entire TV show, so it's about 20 feature-length adventures.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's cool. From memory, it was really good. In particular, the second season, I think, which is set in World War One. I thought that was a really cool. He's like a teenager. He's like 16, maybe 17, and he's at war. And that stuff was great. The early stuff when he's like 12 isn't as good.
Yeah, no, that sounds like it's like, oh, I'm a 12-year-old. Oh, look at all these situations I'm getting in. Oh.
The stuff he gets up to is still pretty exciting, though. Like, from memory, the first episode is a 2-parter about Tutankhamun and then also child slavery ring in Egypt or something. And it was kind of cool.
Interesting.
So I would kind of want to go back to it. I think maybe we could do an episode on one of them.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. No, I've never seen them before, so that'd be cool to do.
They might not hold up at all, but
oh yeah.
I'm interested.
No, but that excites me even more.
Yeah. Anyway, what's your sequel to this film, or a prequel, or a spin-off, or whatever?
Oh, I want a prequel to this, as I mentioned. I want younger Indiana Jones, maybe not that young, but like
late 20s.
I like late 20s. And you mentioned World War One. Well, sequels or prequels have a theme on this show where I just go to war. So
World War II is like many years after this movie. So.
No, I wasn't gonna go to World War II. Instead, we'll go to Vietnam. No,
wait, that's way in the future.
Yeah, I know. You could do World War II though, but it makes sense because he's fighting Nazis, right?
Yeah, it's before World War II Nazis though.
So maybe
because World War II started in 39 and Raiders and Crusader set in like 37, 38.
Interesting.
So just before the World War.
So maybe I'll do a sequel.
Okay.
Sequel to all of these movies, which is World War II breaks out. And the Nazis are using some sort of relic that they found, because that's what they were doing. They were looking for these relics to try and win the war. And so they managed to get something. I don't know what sort of relic they would get, though.
There are some other Indiana Jones stuff that you can kind of draw upon. There's, of course, Indiana Jones Goes to Atlantis, which I think is a video game. So there's stuff like that you could do.
Oh, they have the Triton of Atlantis, maybe? Nah, I don't want Atlantis, although that's a good one. Ooh, they have
the head of Medusa.
Ooh.
It's like this shrunken head, but it still has these like snakes and stuff, and it can still turn people to stone and whatever. And they've actually just got it in a machine. It has like gem eyes or whatever, and they produce this sort of like radiation that turns people to stone. And they're using it to build a giant death laser.
Nice.
That, like, they'll use to, like, shoot America or something. And then Indiana Jones gets recruited with a squadron of elite special ops.
Yep.
And that's my sequel. There you go.
Well, mine is going to be set in the 60s, I think, so after Crystal Skull. I want to bring Short Round back. I want to bring Short Round back as an adult.
Oh, okay.
And he's just going up to Indy being like, dude, I was 12 and you put me in constant danger.
It was awesome. I'm going to sue you.
Modern day Short Round, maybe he's got a kid and they've got to go on some sort of adventure. I'm not sure what. It's the 60s, so maybe Cold War stuff, even though it's kind of what Crystal Skull was anyway. But maybe in this one they've got to go to Russia or something. I don't know. But they've got to team up again. It's old Indiana Jones about middle-aged Short Round, maybe Short Round's son. Sure, Shia LaBeouf can be in it. Why not?
No, Shia LaBeouf's dead.
All right, let's move on to...
Raving reviews.
Yep.
It's raving reviews.
That's good.
It's about a show where I go back and look at Rotten Tomatoes because it's the best place to find reviews. But not just any reviews from the audience, because as we know, corporate people are corporate shills. That's why they have corporate in their name. It's pretty simple. I'll tell a review by a user because they're always correct, and Sandro has to guess what they rated them. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the whole segment.
I'm interested to see what people thought about this film.
You know, it was back and forth. It was very polarizing. There was people who hated this film and people who loved this film. There was no middle ground.
Pretty classic for a sequel.
Barely any middle ground. Yeah. Joshua says, darker and grittier than Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Temple of Doom is still brilliant, action-packed, and showcases Spielberg's directing talent. B+.
B+. All right. So, ooh, that's a hard one. That's a hard. Okay. I'm gonna go 4, but it might also be 3.5.
Okay. All right. It's a 4 out of 5.
Oh,
so you did. You got it. Well done. Well done. Moving on to Blobbo. And I have to read this one in Blobbo's voice, obviously.
Oh, no.
Blobbo enjoyed several times at theatre in 1984. Not sure about home viewing. Picture need big screen.
Great.
Thanks, Blobbo.
Thanks, Blobbo.
I like how Blobbo reviewed themselves in third person.
This sounds like a many times in cinemas. Got me feeling 4.5.
4.5. Ooh, it's 5 out of 5.
Ooh,
very
it's a
close.
fiver.
Very close. It is a 5 out of 5. It
Yeah.
is a 5 out of 5.
I've got this movie on VHS and can confirm it looked bad. But that could just be because VHS is a bad format.
Yeah, that's true. Colin says, while still an entertaining flick, this Jones movie fails to meet the expectations set by its predecessor. Still, really good film.
Really
B+.
B+. Then it's definitely not a 4 to 3.5. I've gamed the system.
Nope, it's a 4 out of 5. Get wrecked, nerd.
Boo!
Got you good.
Nice.
I knew that would get you.
Good place.
All right. So Anonymous says, that was so bad, ... Was it? Question mark. I don't know. You're the reviewer. You're telling me. Why? Sorry, I put this one in just because it infuriated me. Why are you asking me? Why are you asking a question? You're leaving a review.
That's ridiculous.
What? Was it? Did you watch it? Did you make an assumption? That wasn't so bad. Was it? Are you questioning the other people in the comments saying it was bad? What?
I don't know.
Why are you anonymous? I mean, this is why they're anonymous.
Yeah, because they're bad. Does the was it start with a capital or a lowercase letter?
Yes. It has a capital.
Ooh, capital. Okay.
It is spelled correctly, except there is a missing period in wasn't.
Okay, great. I'm going to go probably 2.5.
Ooh, it's 3.5.
Oh, wow.
3.5
That's
actually,
not negative. Yeah. Okay.
Because they thought it was pretty good.
Well,
It wasn't bad.
ridiculous.
Evan says, pretty underrated. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is more than an acceptable sequel, even if it doesn't equal up to its predecessor.
It's true.
A.
4.5.
No, it's a 5 out of 5.
Well, no, A plus is 5 out of 5. This person's wrong.
Yep.
But anyway.
Don't worry, you should get this one. Landon says, there's a lot of unnecessary darkness in this film, but it's still a solid, fun movie. My grade, B plus.
So many grades.
There was more I didn't add in.
This is ridiculous. Why are there so many grades? It's the third B plus we've gotten, and the previous two have both been 4 out of 5, which makes me think this one is. But also, it's probably 3.5. I'll go 3.5 again, I think.
It is 3.5. Yes. You found this one out. There you go. Well done. Yeah. This one, this may hurt to say, but Random White Run says, heart sacrifice and chill.
No.
Which sounds like a great time.
Heart sacrifice and chill.
Heart sacrifice and chill.
Ooh.
Chill is capitalized.
It's a 4.
It's a fun time. Yep, that's a 4 out of 5. Well done.
Nice.
Well done. All right, you're doing pretty well. You're doing pretty well.
3 points.
Right. Nicholas says, Indie rules! Explanation mark. That's all capitalized. Short round is super badass! No explanation mark this time.
It's a 5 out of 5.
It's a 3.5.
What? Wow.
Yes.
What a twist. Okay.
It's an okay film, but Indie rules! Short round is super badass. Ben says, really good. Dark and gritty with a great action climax. I would have rated this higher if it wasn't for Willie.
That's fair enough.
B plus.
God damn it.
There were so many B pluses.
I'm just going to go with 4 again.
Yeah, it's 4 this time.
Okay, cool.
It's 4. And finally, Justin says, my review, it's a buy. Classic film.
Great.
Yep.
Good to know that you would pay for this movie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Person who's supporting the industry.
I agree.
Yeah.
My review, it's a buy.
Yeah. This is a buy.
This is a buy. It's a classic film.
3.5.
It's a 5 out of 5.
Damn. All right. Nice.
Yep.
Well, I got 4 points, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, you did pretty well, honestly.
Yeah.
I did manage to trip you up once with the B plus thing, which was the whole idea.
Well.
But you got like 3 out of 4 on those, so I thought that was pretty good. You did pretty well.
Anyway, that is the episode. Thank you for listening as always. We're getting into blockbuster season, it seems, and that's always a fun time.
Yeah, and it's enjoyable.
So thank you for listening. If you like the show, there's links in the description to our email address where you can send us some feedback if you want. We'll read it out on the show. You can also message us on Facebook or message me on Instagram. We've also got a YouTube channel. You can comment there, and if you say, read this on the show in your comment, we'll read it on the show.
Hell yeah.
It's time for you to pick what we're doing next week.
Yeah.
You got 3 options, more than me this week, which is good.
All right.
Once Upon a Time in America.
Ooh.
It's an almost 4-hour-long crime film
Pass.
about Robert De Niro,
Ooh,
who returns to New York after being banished.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like a crime, a little bit of a western, in the style of a western. You've also got Streets of Fire.
Ooh.
Willem Dafoe, we love him.
This movie also 4 hours long?
No, this one's about 2 hours. It's Willem Dafoe and a gang of biker friends. They kidnap a rock singer in a film that, according to the poster, is a rock and roll fable. Apparently, it's like a mixture of an action film, drama film, neo-noir, musical, and comedy. It's just a big old blend of everything.
Yeah, no, that's a lot.
And then you've also got Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock.
Ooh.
Spoilers for Wrath of Khan, but Spock's dead, and they're trying to find him.
Ooh. We haven't done a Star Trek movie, have we?
Yeah. It is an uneven Star Trek number, though.
Yeah, but you would do... But Sandro, you were just saying that we have to do some bad movies, right? So either this is a good Star Trek movie that we get to enjoy, or you get to do one of your bad movies. So either way, I think we win on this one.
You want to do Star Trek? What do you mean you don't want to do a 4-hour-long Robert De Niro film that's probably excellent, but is so long that we'll never watch it?
Yeah, the problem is it's 4 hours, and as much as I want to do that one, it's 4 hours.
It's Star Trek 3, which means you've got to watch Star Trek 1 and 2 because you chose and it's a sequel. So that's like 6 hours.
That is true. But, like, I only need to watch that film. But I also need to watch those other ones. But if I, like, skim through them and don't take notes, that's...
Oh, yeah.
Like, taking notes in a 4-hour movie...
Oh,
you
I'd
know.
lose my mind. I'd like to watch it over like 2 nights.
Yeah, that is true. You could do, like, a split it in half sort of thing.
I kind of want to watch all 3 of these, to be honest.
That is true. They all sound pretty good. But I want to do Star Trek. I love sci-fi. I want to do some more sci-fi. Throw the sci-fi back in there.
Sci-fi? Because it is a sci-fi. No, because it is a sequel, you got to watch 1 and 2. I kind of want to watch 1 and 2 as well. It's been ages. Hey, how about you come on Spin-Off? Nerd Out Spin-Off with Reese and I, and we can talk about those 2 Star Trek movies.
Wow, what a suggestion that you've just suggested now out of the blue. What a great idea. I should do this thing.
How about we do that this Wednesday on the Nerd Out channel?
You have never brought up the fact that you are getting me on to Nerd Out, your podcast that you do with Reese that you can find on iTunes and Spotify. Are you on Spotify?
Yeah, we're on Spotify.
Oh, you are? Okay. And do you have YouTube?
No.
And a Facebook? I know you have Facebook.
We do have Facebook. We don't have YouTube.
I shared a post.
You did. It was very nice of you. We'll get you on that show. Hey, the episode's coming out on Wednesday. That was a quick turnaround.
Wow.
Over on Nerd Out Spin-Off, it's Star Trek The Motion Picture and Star Trek Wrath of Khan. And then come back here next Monday for Star Trek Search for Spock. It's a Star Trek week. Star Trek week is this week. Have fun, Star Trek week. Live long and bloody prosper. Star Trek week.
Star Trek week.
Let's wrap it up with our favorite quote from Indiana Jones in the Star Trek week. What's your favorite quote?
Oh, there's a few ones. Do you have your one?
Yep.
On you?
Mine is water, 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 water.
Yeah, that's a good one. My one will be a classic quote, which is I hate water. I hate this. I hate you. I hate things. I hate bugs. I hate animals. I hate dirt. I hate the outside. I hate. The classic quote.